Hi Sharman, just wanted to make you a quick video just to kind of walk you through how to go ahead and get started in Cengage Now. The videos that I sent you are generic, so they're not going to show you your exact book, but the Cengage Now process is the same no matter what book you're using. So you're going to start out at your Cengage Learning Instructors account. I'm not sure if that's what you tried to set up over the weekend, but you do already have one. You can go to login.cengage.com. You'll actually see that URL right here. And then your username is going to be your Odessa College email address. And then the password, if you can't remember it, you can use the forgot password link. Then it looks like this is your security question right there, so you can use that if you can't remember it. Or I can always reset that for you. Just let me know if I need to do that. So when you get logged in, just some basic navigation of this site. This is the search box right here, so if you ever come to this site and you say, oh, the book that I need isn't here, you can search right here by the title, author, or ISBN. I think ISBN's a little easier, but that's your choice. And then from here, from this drop-down box is where you can select between your different textbooks. So we're clicking into the 32nd edition right now. And then you'll have your links right here. Bottom is the instructor companion sites where you'll get your test banks, PowerPoints, things like that. This one right here is to the ebook. So this is the MindTap Reader. So this is that ebook that the students are going to get that is device neutral. So no matter what device they have, they can access their ebook mobily. And then lastly, we have the Cengage Now link. So let's go ahead and click into there. So this is just confirming the account is created for the right school. So whenever the students register, they sign up saying that they're with Odessa College, so it just helps us sync the two a little easier. So we'll continue through that. And I do apologize, my internet goes a little slow when I'm doing the screencasts. So I'm going to take just a second to load. Alright, so this is our Cengage Now homepage. So we've got the home screen right there, and then across the top we have a courses tab, which will list all of your live courses. Then we have a users tab, so you can see the students that are enrolled. An assignments tab, which is where we'll go in a moment to create an assignment. The gradebook tab, where we'll go to access our grades. And then the study tools are going to be the unassigned resources that students will have access to in addition to their assignments. So let's get started in courses. So the first thing that you'll need to do is create a course. And since I'm actually in your course right now, I'm going to create one, and then I'll just delete it so you won't have to mess with that being in there. So I'm just going to click create a new course. And then you have a couple different options. Going from semester to semester, you have the ability to copy the course. So once you've built it and you think this is great, everything worked fine, you can copy it without having to recreate it. But we're going to build a course manually today. So let's continue here. And then we'll give the course a name. So we're just going to call this Demo. And then we'll pick the start and the end date of the class. And then right here you can add any links or any files that you might want, maybe your syllabus, or if you have an external link that you like them to access, maybe one to Blackboard, you can certainly add those here. And then you have two options down here. So you can allow the students to send you emails while they're taking their assignments. So whenever they're in the assignment, they'll have a button that says email the instructor. So what this is helpful with is rather than them emailing you or coming to you in class and saying, I have a question over number 5, and you probably think I have no idea what number 5 is. By allowing them to email you directly from the assignment, it'll send you a screenshot of exactly where they are in the assignment, everything they've completed, and then they fill out the email with their specific question. So if you want to allow them to do that, you leave that box checked, or you can uncheck it if you don't want to open the floodgates and receive all the student emails. Completely up to you. And then if it's easier for you when you import your grades to do it by a student ID, then you can require that they provide one of those whenever they log in. So after that, we're going to click Create a Course. And now our course has been created. So right here, we're going to have this URL, and this is the URL that you'll need to provide to your students. So all they have to do is go to this URL, and they can either log in or create an account, and they'll be automatically enrolled in your course. So you can share that with them, and then you can also click student registration instructions, and this will actually be an instructional guide that you can hand out or email to them that walks them through the whole process. So after we've done that, we can come over here and create an assignment, but I'm actually going to come here to the assignments tab just so you would see how you would do it moving forward after creating the initial course. So we'll click on assignments. So as you can see right here, I have nothing created. Once you start to create more, you'll see those in your section, but we're going to create an assignment. And then here we have the different options. We have a homework. You can assign from the test bank. You can assign a reading. Obviously, we can't associate I don't know what the right word is, but a value with reading. We can't make sure that they're actually reading it, but it is nice to have that reminder in there for them. And then you can assign a study tool, which we'll look at in just a few minutes, or you can use one that's already in your account, or you can assign something external. So we're going to look at a homework right now. So we'll click continue, and then we'll give it a name. And then whenever you want the assignment to be available, and then whenever you want it to be due. And then you can make the assignment unavailable at a different date if you wanted them to maybe view it for another week afterwards. You can set up, a penalty if you want them to be allowed to do late work. It's some sort of a penalty, but we'll leave this checked for right now. Then we'll click continue. Okay, so now you see we have the test bank or the homework. I'm going to click into the homework. So you'll see here you will have, a selection for each chapter. So I'm going to just click chapter 1 to start off with. And then here down at the bottom, so you have a couple different options here. So for chapter 1, the difficulty is only moderate. Sometimes you might see it easy, moderate, difficult. So you can, if you didn't want them to have any difficult problems, you would just simply uncheck that option. And then obviously you want to leave the gradability automatic. Sometimes there might be some essay questions that would require you to go in and grade, so if you didn't want to assign those, you would uncheck that box, but that's not applicable here. And then we do have questions that are algorithmic as well as non-algorithmic. So then down here it'll show you how many of each one we have. So we have 27 fill in the blank, 22 multiple choice, and 10 accounting. So if you just wanted them to select, a random number of questions, you could change this here and say, I just want to look at, 10 of these, so on and so forth. I'm going to leave all of them. That way you can actually go through and look through the questions. So after you've done that, we'll just click continue. And now you can actually view the questions. So all you do is you just click on it right here. And then down here at the bottom, you'll be able to see a preview of the question. So you can go through those and decide which questions that you want to assign. If it is algorithmic, it'll have this algorithmic tag out to the right. So you have those, so you'll go through and select whichever ones you want. We'll just select a couple random ones here. And then we're going to include. So now you've got the set of questions that are going to be included in that assignment. Once you've decided that it contains exactly what you want, you're going to click continue. Okay, so here's where we get into the assignment options. So there's quite a bit on here. There's a lot you can do with this, but the good thing is if you kind of have a set that you want to use every time, you don't have to come in and change this every time. You can actually save it, and that way every time you just go in and it'll update it for that. So here you can adjust how many times you want the students to be able to take the assignment. With printing, this just determines if you want them to be allowed to print the assignment before they attempt it. So I know with accounting, a lot of professors like to turn this on, especially with all of the balance sheets that you're going to have. Sometimes they'd like to be able to print them out and complete that on paper beforehand. You can set up a prerequisite. So if you want them to make sure they're working through the class sequentially, perhaps, maybe you want them to finish chapter 1 before they can even go on to chapter 2, that's how the prerequisite would work. You do have a few different options here. So they would have to have a specific score on something else, or maybe a certain time spent in the study tools. I think most people don't use a prerequisite, but that, once again, that's completely up to you. Possible score, so this one's set up to be 6 points. You can make this as many points as you want, or you can make it not graded, and that would just make it practice for the students. I know a lot of instructors will do one that's graded, and then they'll assign the rest of the questions as practice, so they can still see everything, but they won't be required to do it for a grade. This next option is how they're going to score it when you're giving them multiple attempts on the assignment. So keeping 20 results but merging on each take is our default. So the different options are, so the keep one result override on each take means that as they do each attempt, it's going to keep the most recent attempt, and it's only going to keep one result. Keeping one result, merging on each take, that means it's going to only keep one result, but it's going to keep the highest of those, so it can't hurt them. And then these ones down here are the same, but with 20 results. This is really, if you wanted to see every single attempt that they did, this is going to show you all the attempts in the gradebook. So that can get pretty hairy, but if you wanted to see all of them, then you certainly have that option here. You can also add a curve, a pass-fail, or an extra credit. So say you wanted to do a practice and maybe assign it as extra credit, that's how that option would be allowed there. We also have numerical tolerance. So if you wanted them to, have a little leeway on their answers, you can set that up here. And then here's a late penalty. So if you did want to make the assignment available, say a week after the due date, but they get a 25% penalty, you can set that up here. Next, we'll look at regenerating algorithmic questions. So when you have an algorithmic question, how do you want to generate it? Do you never want to regenerate it to where it's not truly algorithmic? Or do you want to regenerate it for each student in each take? Or just for each student on the first take, which would mean they'll still see the same problem if they attempt it multiple times, but each student is going to see a different problem. You can also shuffle questions for each student and each take. So if you have two students sitting next to each other, my question 1 is going to be different than your question 1. And then you can also hide the question labels. So you'll see when you're setting it up that there are the question labels, because these are the problems from the back of the book. So it just shows you which problem in the book it is. So if you didn't want the students to know that, then you could hide those. Then we have the feedback during the assignment. So the students will have the option to go through some check my work feedback. And so you can limit that if you want them to have unlimited access to that, or never show feedback, or maybe they can only view it 1 or 2 times. That's completely up to you there. And then you can also set up the question attempts that they have to do before they can get hints, or you can do no hints at all, or you can set it up to where they can even get hints before they have even tried. And then the last piece is going to be the feedback after the assignment. So what most instructors do is once a student has finished the assignment, it gives them their score. So it just says this is what your final score is. And that's all they get to see until after the due date. So right here, we have show overall assignment score only immediately after take. So this means as soon as the students are finished with their assignment, they can see their scores. If you clicked this right here, you could set a date. So maybe you don't want them to know what their score is until the end date, or another date in mind, but the most popular way to do it is for them to see their score immediately after their take. But then right here we have showing the question details, student responses, and question scores, so what they got right, what they missed. And then most people set this up not immediately after the take, but after the due date. That way before the due date, students can know what their score is, but not what they got right. So I'm about to run out of time on my screencast, so I'll probably make you another video, but the last 2 pieces are include the correct answers and post submission feedback, and then when you enable printing after the assignment. So when you're done, you'll just click create an assignment. If you update the set, this will let you save it, like I said. So we'll save that. Yep. And we have created the new set and create an assignment.